be the agenda of my presentation. I'll be giving the lecture till 4 o'clock, I believe. There is no break in between. Am I right, Vijaya, Yuvraj? Hello, Yuvraj. Is there any break in between my session? I hope there is no break. If at all, if there is any break, maybe the organizer can intimate me in prior. Kevin Ashton, who is considered to be one of the advocates of implementing Internet of Things, he had explained that if we had computers that knew everything, using data they gathered without any help from us, we would be able to track and count everything and greatly reduce waste, loss, and cost. This was the statement given by Kevin Ashton in a conference which was conducted in the year 1990. The conference is all about Internet of Things. The origin of IoT was established by this pioneer Kevin Ashton in the year 1999, and he said that it is possible to control different objects in the world through sensors and a proper protocol. And Ashton coined this word mainly to illustrate an example of how RFID tags can be useful for supply chain management. So this RFID tags was implemented in garments, and the tracking of the garment was done with the help of some internet protocol. So that was the main motive behind the formation of Internet of Things. And he explained how to connect different devices with internet protocol. And the first internet enabled device was introduced in the conference held in 1990, and they have explained how a toaster can be switched on and switched off with the help of internet protocol. That was the primary stage in the field of Internet of Things. Later on, many IP enabled things was enabled, which includes a soda machine, which was operated by Carnegie Mellon University through Internet protocol, and a coffee pot was introduced. And today, now in this world, we are talking about online education, right? I'm talking to you through this online platform. Now every industry are talking about Internet of everything. Yesterday I got a WhatsApp message saying that I'll be given what is that, marriage fees through online portal, but I need to attend that online wedding. They have given a dedicated password for that, and I can watch that wedding through YouTube or through that WhatsApp, through that channel. So this is the mode we are living in. So now we are talking about controlling objects. Even though every things happening in this world are because of this pandemic is controlled, we is viewed through online mode. Now we want to control everything in this world through some internet protocol. So we want that object to be a smart object. We want the device to be a smart device. So this is the origin of IoT. And challenges of IoT during the initial stages was, mm, during the 1990 conference, the protocol was not defined properly. And the communication protocol was there, but it was very slow. There is no proper hypertext transfer protocol. They had only small file transfer protocol. They didn't have wide range of opportunities for transferring a message from one place to another place. And now let us not bother about these challenges now, because all the challenges have been addressed except few challenges. For one, how to power these devices, what are the mode of powering these devices, and how to make this device cost effective. These are only some of the challenges of IoT. And if you see the definition of IoT, uh, Texas Instrument has given this definition as machine to machine communication. If I want communication between a mobile phone and a computer, then both are machines, right? Then it can be called as a machine to machine communication. If I want to control a switch, if I want to control a light or a fan through mobile phone, I'll be having a dedicated app in my mobile phone, and through that app, I'll be switching on or switching off a fan or a light. So both are machines. It can be called as machine to machine communication. But since I'm using internet protocol for communicating, I'm using this terminology Internet of Things. Okay. Participants, before going to the next slide, If you have any slide, any doubts in the corresponding slide, you put it in the chat box. I am ready to answer then and there. Instead of explaining the doubts at the end of the presentation, I feel better if I clear out the doubts during the presentation itself. So IoT application, if you see, smartphone is a very good example of IoT, because in your mobile phone you can able to do banking, you can able to play, you can able to hear musics. It can be used as a GPS device. It can be used as a locator device. It can be used as a camera. It can be used as a reminder. So I mean phone is a one of the smartphone is one of the beautiful application of IoT. It can be I can able to check the weather condition in the iPhone. I mean in the phone, but with the corresponding um, app application. So phone was introduced in the year 1876, and mobile phone was introduced in the year 1973. iPhone was introduced in the year 2007 in the month of July, right? So to enable different applications, people started to develop an app in the mobile phone that is in a user-defined language. Okay, so that is one of the important application of IoT. So apart from that, in the present day trend, we need to go along with the wave. You should be a dead leaf in floating water. Meaning is what? You need to understand the real world technology, what is existing in this world. You have to change accordingly. Now we can transact with people without any physical cash. We can transact without any actual cash. I can do all the transaction in a virtual mode. And one of the world's biggest bank, we call it as a Bitcoin. You know the value of the Bitcoin now, right? And you Uber, it is known world's largest taxi company. They don't own a vehicle, okay, but even then they are being called as world's largest taxi company. Similarly, the Facebook, they don't create any content. We user make content. This user will be creating a content, and the owner of the Facebook won't create any content, right? And Alibaba, Airbnb, they are into inventory retailer shop, and they are into real estate market. They don't own any product. So these are all the things which are virtually not available, but they are very very successful. So how do I implement IoT in smartphone? These are all some of the application which is existing, and some of them are under research level. Excuse me. So what you can do is, like, you can interface the weather forecast, the local time, your mobile phone, and the corresponding transportation system. For example, if you take the first one, the clock checks the train times online and lets you sleep longer if train comes late. Assuming that you want to travel from Coimbatore to Madras, okay, so you have booked a train. If the train comes late, it gets its input from IRCTC website, that the latitude and longitude. Correspondingly, if you set an alarm at around 4 o'clock, the mobile phone checks the train time. Depending on the train time, it may alarm you about the arrival of the time, so that it can make you sleep more. And the second important application is, you can do it as a student's project. You have a special bottle cap, and it will remind you to take water. It remind you to take medicine. Okay. It goes online and inform your doctor if you don't take it frequently or at the required time. Or otherwise, for the school going children, there is now, because not only for the school going children, for the persons who are working always in an air conditioned environment, they don't take water very frequently. Because of that, lot of problems are there. So you may create an IoT based water can. At regular intervals, it may remind you to take water. Okay. And this is existing now in Kerala. Your umbrella checks the weather report, and it will intimate you whether to take umbrella or not whenever you go out. Meaning is, they have used some certain predictive algorithm in the weather forecasting, right? And the predictive analysis can be used for your day-to-day activities. And the location based service, we have developed a few devices. One is for persons who got affected from stroke, another one is for pets. So pets, we can put a band or a collar, and for the persons who got affected from dementia, we have developed a pendant, or otherwise a belt, or otherwise a watch, and it will be fixed into the person's wrist, or like a chain. And whenever they crosses a particular node, it will alarm the user or a caretaker. like they are going away. Apart from that, we have used a deep learning technique into it. If they wander away from the particular node or the particular location, immediately the watch will guide the user where how to return back to your home. So these are all some of the IoT based devices which can be useful for medical applications as well. So many of the cities in India have been identified as to transform into smart city, right? And you know what are all the concepts of smart city? We have SCM, right? Smart Cities Mission. Under smart city mission, they have identified 6 elements, and these 6 elements has to be automated for the ADL, activity of daily living. The 6 elements are: it should be retail, healthcare, energy, building, security, transportation. You name any element. Without the help of Internet of Things, it is not possible to make a city a smart city. So I have done a few projects. Our team has done few projects in this area. I'll discuss those projects as well for your research activity. The simple application is IoT in security. These things already people have been implemented. It is available commercially. But even in this case, you can do wonders. For example, here I have listed out some of the materials like smart shutter, door, floor, camera, alarm, clock, roof, etc. So what I want to do is like I want to have an interface between the ATM center and the police and the ambulance and the banker. So if there is any intruder, that can be identified by the sensor and it will be intimated to these users depending on the programmed way. So that is possible with the help of IoT. So in a shorter way, IoT can be used for security applications as well. And the security differs. For example, there are certain sensors available where in which it can sense even the movement of the cat, far infrared ray sensor. So why specifically movement of the cat? The movement of the cat, they won't create much vibration. If and only if there is a vibration, it can be identified by the sensor. So there are certain sensor, even that minute vibrations or a change can be identified, and that can be intimated to the customer so that further actions can be taken. So these are all some of the security applications, and this can be useful for many applications. We'll discuss it later. IoT analytics. This is very, very important. See, I think many of you have purchased things online. That too during this pandemic situation, many of your people have purchased things through online. Let us say I have purchased what is that mobile phone through online mode. Since because of the online classes, etc. Let me say I have purchased a mobile phone through online mode. Let me say the platform also I have purchased it to Amazon. So whenever you log in the next time in Amazon, it may tell you what are all the other accessories available for the mobile phone, and it will market you in such a way that you need to buy that. Okay, so the Amazon will be checking, will be doing some analysis to predict your buying behavior. So for that, what Amazon requires your data. So IoT basically involves collecting data from different field. I can collect the data with the help of sensors. So after collecting the data, what should I do? I have to do some analysis. That analysis do what? It should predict something. So there are four main areas of IoT analytics: big data, fast data, more analytics, horizontal integration and vertical application, decentralization, integration of advanced analytics and machine learning. So at this point, I just want to give a small example of differentiating artificial neural network, machine learning, and deep learning. If I want certain machine to think like a human being, then I can implement the concept of artificial neural network. So I have collected a data. Instead of having a security at the ATM center, I'll be collecting the data with the help of sensors, and a processor will tell there is an intruder. So I have simply mentioned an artificial neural network program for this. Let us say, example, it can be different. So if I want the machine to think like human being, then I can implement artificial neural network. And if I want to make the machine to learn by itself, then I'll implement the technique of machine learning. So I'll be taking certain models and I'll make the machine to train the machine with the help of that model. And because depending on the different situation, I'll be making the machine to learn different situation, and I'll be making the machine to respond to that different situation. That is called as machine learning. If I make the machine to react like a human being, then I'll implement the concept of deep learning technique. Meaning is what? With the available data, if the machine could able to predict the false, then it could be called as a deep learning technique. Hope I am clear. If you have any doubts, you please post it in chat box. I think there is a question in the chat box. No, no questions. So if you have any doubts, you please post it in the chat box. I think you are clear with. I think you are clear with. Okay, I think you are clear with deep learning, machine learning, and artificial network. So, how to implement IoT in smart building? IoT can be implemented in different fields of building. For example, it can be for safety, it can be for elderly people, health and wellness, management, lighting control, real-time alerts, remote control and operation, security and surveillance, temperature control, and smart environment. These are all the applications wherein which I can implement the concept of IoT in the building. So here, this is one of the beautiful example. You people will be interested to implement this. In future, the medical field will be a major fold. Will be having a major fold. So even now, the doctor to patient ratio is huge. Please Google and see the doctor to patient ratio. It is huge in India. So in future, all the doctors may not be in a position to meet all the patients on timely manner. So there may be a chance wherein which the doctors can give medication to the patients without seeing the patients, right? That concept is called as a telemedicine concept. Tele means distance, medicine means giving medication. So that can be implemented with the help of IoT concepts, wherein which you can be your body can be integrated with many sensors, and you will be monitored 24/7. And if at all if there is any abnormality observed by the sensor, it will be given intimation to the caretaker, the doctor, the ambulance, everywhere. And the sensors integration depends upon the type of the parameters you want to measure it from your body. Either it could be a temperature, respiratory, pulse rate, heart rate, oxygen level, glucose level, sugar level, cholesterol level, etc. So there are many sensors available in the market. We are developing certain sensors, CNT based sensor for checking the cholesterol level of a body. Apart from that, we are developing sensor to measure the toxic gases. These two sensors are CNT based sensors. So what I want to know is what are all the parameters I need to measure. If I want to implement an IoT based project, I want to know what are the parameters I need to measure. After sensing, after identifying the parameter, I need to choose proper sensor. After choosing the proper sensor, I need a proper processor to process the data. So I need to communicate between the sensor and the processor, and how I'm giving as an output, to whom I'm giving an output. So depending on that, I can define the topology of the IoT. I have a few questions here. Let me answer that. Deep learning and artificial seems quite similar. Ravigant. Okay. No. Deep learning and artificial intelligence are entirely different. To explain it further, artificial intelligence is on the base layer. Deep learning will be the inner core. Artificial intelligence may think like human being, but deep learning will predict the faults. Artificial intelligence cannot predict the fault. For example, if the based on the available data, if I want to predict anything happens to the machine, that cannot be done by artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence will work based on the trained model. So different times the model may differ, and that cannot be predicted by artificial intelligence. Hope I have answered your question. And the second one, give any suggestions for applications of IoT for small farmers. Yes, I have few applications, many applications. Bala Sundram. I'll be explaining those applications. That is the main objective of this presentation. I'll be explaining that. Okay. So IoT functional requirements are, now you understand the importance of IoT, right? And what are the requirements of an IoT? IoT should be uniquely identifiable. That is very, very important. For example,
Hello. Hello.
these are all the components of.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Sir, your voice is not audible, sir. Your PPT also not shared, sir.
Okay. What happened?
Due to network
No,
issues,
let me do it
please.
again.
Yes, sir. You can share your screen and then you can start your session, sir, again, sir.
1 second. 1 second. You can see my screen, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now it's clear, sir.
What you are seeing components of IoT, right?
Yes, sir. Components of IoT.
Okay.
Hmm.
So so far we have discussed about the definition of IoT and the importance of IoT. So being an academician, if you want to develop a prototype or a project, or otherwise if you want to do some project for the farmers, you need to identify what are the components of IoT. So the basic components of IoT are the sensor, actuator. Sensor is an input, actuator is an output. And you have to have a processor that is processing. That we call it as a gateway. And where I can store this data, I can store it either in the cloud or in the storage media. And how do I communicate? You need a proper communication. And what are all the localization and tracking method, identification method? So by filling the blanks of these components, it is possible for you to develop a product. Because if I have developed a product, if I want to develop a product, let us say I want to develop a product for, let me say an example. Yeah, I just want to know whether my child has brushed her teeth properly or not. Is it anyway possible to implement this concept with the help of IoT? Yes, it is possible. For that, what I need to do, the name of the project is Smart Brush, let us say. So now you tell me what are all the components required for that. For example, what is the sensor required? Professor Ramasamy, you please post your chat. No need to raise your hand. You please post your questions in the chat box so that I can answer it. So I have given a project title Smart Brush. So for implementing the Smart Brush, you need to identify the sensors. The sensor should be like it should check whether the teeth are clean or not, whether the gems are available or not. And after checking that, it has to give an intimation to whom? To the parent. How? In a mobile phone app. How? By giving an alarm. So this is an actuator. And where do I store this data? In a cloud. Why should I store this data? To communicate to the doctor. Why should I communicate to the doctor? To track whether the teeth are in a proper manner or not without any human intervention. So by filling the blanks of these corresponding components, it will be easy for you to develop a product. So there are different types of approaches wherein which you can develop a project. First one is architectural approach. Architectural approach is something like it defines the topology of interconnected physical component. For example, I told you there may be different sensors to be integrated into your body, right? How do I fix this sensor? And where should I fix this sensor? How these are all geometrically arranged. There is nothing but the topology. And what are all the hardware and software requirement? And what is the operating principle and protocol? In what language this will communicate? Okay, so this is the architectural approach. And another approaches are device architecture, service architecture, infrastructure architecture, protocol architecture. Given a prototype, this prototype may fall under different architecture. Okay. For example, if you take a device architecture, I have a sensor, as well as an output actuator, and the sensor and will give an input to the processor. Processor give back it to the actuator, and these things will be communicated through an internet protocol, and it will be shared or stored in memory devices or storage devices. And output could be either sound or video or an image or whatever it is. So this is a device-based architecture. In the case of service-based architecture, if I'm assuming that I'm controlling the switch on and off of a motor in my home through a mobile phone, then I need an app in my mobile phone, and I'll be controlling that app, controlling the motor through the app. I have a small farmland. Okay, my small farmland is about 40 kilometers from my home. I'm operating this watering of coconut plants only through my mobile phone. Right? It is very easy to implement. It was done by. It was started in a very small way. Actually, we have done it only for 25 coconut trees. We thought of improve. It is available in the market, but what I'm trying to tell you is it can be done easily by you people. See, what I want is I just want it should be already drip irrigated, right? The 25 coconut plants, what we have taken as a sample is it is already watering is done through drip irrigation, not by flood irrigation. And the drip irrigation, there will be a valve, you know about it, right? And what we have is a bore well. Okay, and from the bore well it will come to a common valve. From the valve it will go to the individual trees. So what we have done is like we replaced that valve with a IoT based valve. Okay, and we have a dedicated app, and that app was developed with the MIT. MIT is a free app developer. You can do it by yourself. And what we have used is for storing the data, we have used the ThinkSpeak. ThinkSpeak, again, it is a cloud storage device. It is a freeware. Okay. Only thing is, if we have a user ID in MATLAB, it is a MATLAB based product. If we have user ID in MATLAB, all the data will be stored in numerous data can be stored. If you don't have user ID, you need to refresh the data very often. It may give an intimation that your data is being, your storage is being full and you need to delete the data. So this is how a service architecture can be done. Do you have any doubt in this? You please post the question. And the functional architecture is something like we'll be having different system that can be communicated by a common processor. The functional architecture is the one where in which we can implement the process of industry 4.0. So I will be having different machine, and the different machine can be communicated through an interrogator or a gateway. And this interrogator will give a proper information through the information management system. And based on that, it will actuate an output. And the data will be stored in a fog computing or a cloud computing through internet protocol. So this is the functional architecture. So how to build a system? Let us not worry about that. Yeah, how to build an IoT based device? You need to have a reference model, and you have to have a developed architecture. You can do what let us say I want to make my home a smart home. I have a solar PV system in my home, and the generation of solar PV in my home can be viewed from my mobile phone app. This was not made by me; it was commercially purchased. Okay, and we don't have a storage system, but whatever the units generated, that will be used for running the appliances. During the day, night time, I will be getting the supply from the grid. Similarly, if I want to switch on or switch off my fan or a light sitting at my office, I can do it with the help of a retrofittable device. That device is available online. You need to purchase that device and fit it in your switch box. And the switch box and your mobile phone can communicate. And through that, you can switch on or switch off any of the devices. Either it could be a refrigerator, geyser, water pump, light, fan, TV, etc. So the basic infrastructure we have is device to device communication, device to cloud communication, device to gateway communication, and back end data sharing model. So these are all the communication models available. For example, in the case of a device to device communication, a bulb can be switched on or off through a switch, and that can be done with the help of a wireless network. Either I can use a mobile phone, Bluetooth, or a Wi-Fi, or a Z-Wave, or a Zigbee, or a GSM. Depending on the distance, we can go for any of the wireless network. So these are all nothing but I'm communicating between two devices, machine to machine. As Texas Instrument mentions, it is a machine to machine communication. In the case of a device to device, here you can have an elaborate version of the block diagram. We can have different types of sensor: light, pressure, motion, gas, etc. The input will be given to a gateway. We call it as a processor, right? There are different processors available. Arduino to the for the user, for the beginner, they can go with Arduino, or for a high end they can go for Raspberry Pi, or for MSP 430 or C2000, etc. I have not worked on any of this processor. I have worked on Arduino, Raspberry Pi, C2000, MSP 430. Rest of the microprocessors are processors are also available, but I don't know the user friendly of these corresponding software processor. ARM processor also I have worked on, and based on the input it may process it and it will actuate an output. So device to device communication. In the case of a device to server, from the device the data can be sent through cloud to a particular server, and the data will be stored there. It is not controlled, it's just stored. So device to server. Next we have device to device, server to server. So from through the cloud the data are stored. From the cloud it may given to a smartphone or a phone, where you have an Android based application or an iPhone based application, where it means through the app you can able to control the device. That is what I have told you. The watering of coconut trees can be done with the help of a mobile phone. I can control the mobile phone. I can control the valve opening and closing with the help of my mobile phone. If at all if there is any power cut in between, it will be get automatically switched on. That is the system what we have. So these are all the different communication model: device to device, device to server, servers to server communication, and also device to server is also possible. Okay. Next one is the back-end data sharing model. In the case of back-end data sharing model, it is the one which is used for predictive analysis technique. How? Uh, I think many of you people in this audience are belong to electrical engineers. So let me take a common example of transformer. So this project also we have developed it. We called it as an intelligent universal transformer. So if I want to measure the condition of the transformer or health of the transformer, I need to monitor its parameter, right? And what are the parameters to be monitored? Let us say I need to measure its temperature, then current, the voltage, the resistance, the breather condition, vibration, noise, the temperature of level. Let us say I have 10 parameter. So I can sense this 10 parameter, sense the condition of this 10 parameters, and I can share it in the cloud. So after, let us say I have 50 transformer, 50 into 10, 500 data will be transmitted at per second, and that will be stored in the cloud. What can I do with that data? I need to predict when the machine will lead to failure. So for that, we have to implement the concept of deep learning. You please note it down, because someone has asked a doubt between artificial neural network and deep learning, right? So with the measured parameter, with the sensed parameter, if at all if there is any abnormality in the parameter, your program should be able to predict the faults, and it should intimate the user that this particular transformer is going to be a failure one, or it will going to stop working after some time. Okay, so that for that we need this kind of a model. Fine. So why all of a sudden people started to think about internet of things? Mainly because we want to implement information and communication technology everywhere. I told you we are now in the world of internet of everything. Internet of education is the one what we are doing it now. So we are now in the world of internet of education, internet of everything, right? So this is mainly to make the people's life ease. Okay, so for that we need to develop a smart infrastructure which consists of smart building, smart mobility, smart energy, smart water, waste management, health, digital layer. So if I want to have a proper smart system, it should consist of following layers. an urban layer, sensor, connectivity, data analytics, and automation. So each and every layer may differ depending upon the application. Okay. So for example, if I want to implement smart cities, some of the smart city solutions are categorized into six categories: e-governance and citizen services, waste management, water management, urban mobility, energy management, and others includes medicine and some skill training centers. Out of that, this telemedicine plays a major role. Even now, in some of the pilgrimages during the season time, they used to have this facility of telemedicine, because doctor, they don't want to waste the time at a particular pilgrimage center, sitting idle, because their regular job in the city life may get spoiled. To avoid that, what they do is they will appoint a staff nurse, and the patients can be given consultancy, given medication through this concept of telemedicine. Okay, so these are some of the smart solutions available, and these things can be implemented with the help of IoT. Okay, under smart cities mission, as I told you, if you really wanted to submit a project proposal by implementing this IoT, you can try it out with smart cities mission. Under smart cities mission, the objective is to make an urban and IoT based urban, because I see now the present day technology, how do they manage the waste which is available from home, industry, and from the commercial user? Just a normal way, right? And but we can also implement IoT based system. I have a case study for that. We'll discuss it in a minute. And how do, one second, please. How do I check the quality of the air? The air quality monitoring is a huge project in smart cities mission, because the quality of the air to be monitored regularly. If the quality of the air is not good, it has to be intimated to the corporation immediately so that they can come and take actions. To check the quality of the air, we need to check with the help of different sensors. We need to check the condition of SOx and NOx in terms of ppm. SOx means sulfur oxide, nitrous oxide, like NO2, NO3, SO2, SO3, then carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, greenhouse gases, etc. And we need to check the noise level as well. If you would have seen during in any of the buses, whenever they go across a hospital, they won't even bother the hospital is there or not. They used to horn it like anything. Horn is an offense in developed country, but in India, we cannot drive a vehicle without horn. Okay, so I need to control this noise. This noise pollution is huge in Indian scenario. How to control this noise? I need to monitor it regularly. For example, you can also do a project of this kind. If an ambulance comes, we need to give a way. Similarly, if a noise, there is any noise in the hospital premises, the corresponding vehicles are not allowed to horn. They, if at all, if they horn, they have to be fined severely. So for that, humanly, it is not possible. There should be a control mechanism. There should be a monitoring mechanism to monitor it. And of course, in the case of a traffic congestion, if at all, if there is any ambulance in the heavy traffic, there should be a modality to give a way to the hospital, the ambulance. And city energy consumption. Here we have done a project called as IoT-based smart energy meter. What it does basically, it will check the number of units consumed by the user. So here we have done a small project, UG project, right? Here it is like a prepaid energy meter system. What we have done is like we have replaced that energy meter with our smart meter. It is a future work. It's a future. It is possible, but we have tested it practically. So if I want to fix the number of units to be consumed, what I can do is like I can say it like 99 units. If it is below 100 units, I no need to pay. If it is 100 to 200, your slab is different. If it is above 500, your slab is different. That you know it, right? You have to. We follow two-part tariff system in Tamil Nadu. Similarly, each and every state will have certain rules. So what we can do with the help of IoT based meter is we can fix a meter wherein which if we can fix the number of units to be consumed, if at all if the number of unit consumed is going above a preset limit, it may switch off the unnecessary loads. So that is called a smart energy meter. So for that, what we need to do, we need to identify a communication protocol between the loads used in your home to the meter, and also it should check the unnecessary load. How to check the unnecessary load, that is your research. Similarly, smart lighting. Smart lighting is the one wherein which, if at all if there is no person is in the room or in the hall, the lights should be switched off automatically, and it should be switched on automatically. And automation and monitoring of public buildings, it is a huge project. In the case of a heritage building, you leave the heritage building, if you take any old housing unit, the old building may collapse at any point of time, but still the people may live in that building. So we need to monitor the building 24 bar 7 365 days for its healthiness. If at all if any abnormality is measured, then it should be intimated properly so that we can avoid accidents. So this is the monitoring of smart buildings with the help of IoT. One second. So some of the applications of IoT, the corresponding slides, what I am going to show you are many projects or some are final year projects. I have given the website address also. You please go through the website. You may find many projects related to IoT. For example, Smart Egg Tray. Here, this is one of the beautiful project. It may not be find useful, but it is one of the beautiful project. Here what we want the students to do is, the students has to have a communication between the egg tray which is placed in the refrigerator and a mobile phone. So if at all there is any change in the number of eggs, it has to be intimated to the user as a reminder. Assuming that you have 12 eggs in a tray, depending on the number of decrease in number of count, it has to be displayed in the mobile app as well. So this is a very, very useful project, simple project. The main application of the project is to not for implementation. Main application of the project is to understand how to communicate between the sensor and the processor and an app. So for that, students has to develop an app first. Okay, and they have to find a suitable sensor to identify the gigs. Okay, so these are all the projects. Another project is smart washing machine, and this is also a very good project. The objective of the project is, the existing washing machine, you can convert that into a smart washing machine by having an interface with the washing machine and a mobile phone. Okay. Similarly, the smart lighting. As I told you, there are online devices available, and the device can be fitted into your switch box, and controlling of that switches can be done through your mobile phone, and so that the lighting can be done. Smart AC is the same thing. Like what this is a very good project again. uh, Assuming that you are going from office to your home, before going home, if you want to switch on the AC, that can be done with the help of a remote operating system, this mobile phone. So for that, you need to do what? You need to have a proper communication device between your mobile phone and your air conditioner, right? So once you are about to reach your home, you will be switching on the AC, and AC will be switched on. Not only for AC, it can be done for your geyser, etc. Smart sleep system, it is also available. Like you have a Fitbit wearable device, right? Wearable device is one of the beautiful IoT based device. Your wearable device can communicate to your mobile phone. Wearable device will be checking the number of steps you have crossed, number of calories you have burned on a particular day. And also you can set a goal, like 5,000 steps per day. If you have not 5,000 steps per day on a particular time, the system may give an alarm and it may ask you to walk. There is a question, I believe. Any applications available related to teaching? What I'm doing is an IoT based application, right? So I have a platform to communicate between you and me, right? So this is an IoT based system. This is the one which is related to teaching. Smart weather station, again, this is the one which is useful for agricultural application. I'll explain that agricultural application later. But smart weather station, what it does is like it will tell the relative temperature, humidity, temperature, CO2 of a particular place. For example, you please Google and check the app windy.com. I think many of you know windy.com. But the advantage of windy.com is like, one second. Yeah. The advantage of windy.com is if you mention the latitude and longitude, it will predict the temperature, relative humidity, the moisture content, similarly the noise level, everything on that particular latitude and longitude. It may also predict for the corresponding months. So this is one of the smart weather station. And smart slow cooker, again, you can operate a cooker with the help of your mobile phone. Okay, this is one of the very good project. This you can implement in smart cities. We have done it also. So what the objective is, if at all if the can is full, the bin is full, it has to be intimated to the corporation. So for that, what we have done is like we have given a unique ID or number for each and every can. So that ID or number will give the latitude and longitude of the can, so that the corporation can come and pick the can in a correct place. And it has two sensor. One is to segregate the wet waste, another one is to segregate the dry waste. We have done two projects. One is for segregating the degradable and biodegradable waste. Another one is to segregate the wet waste and dry waste. Once it reaches the maximum position, immediately an alarm bell will be given to the user as well as to the what to the corporation, so that they can come and pick it up. So this is called as smart garbage cans. I have question. Any application available? My question is, any applications related to teaching like recording the session and transferring to students, monitoring attendance for online classes, etc. You have a Google Meet, right? In Google Meet, whenever the students log in, log out, it can be logged based on minute by minute data. We follow Google Meet. So we won't take attendance regularly. We won't take attendance at all. The students, they have to come in online at a particular time, at the specified time. If they come after a particular specified time, they will be marked as absent. Okay. So based on, maybe if at all if there is any internet issues, I'll tell you. I'll tell you the answer for the next question after answering this. So based on the login time and based on the screen monitoring time, we'll be coming to know that the attendance level. So this itself is enough to monitor the attendance of a student. Google Meet is also as I told you, all the internet-based platform is an IoT-based application. It is nothing but Internet of Education. That is what Cisco represents, Internet of Things for Education. Okay. So because I'm communicating to you, I'm answering to you through a protocol, right? I'm not talking through any of the protocol. I'm talking to you through some internet protocol. The language may be say, English, but I'm communicating. Media is nothing but internet. So it is nothing but Internet of Things, IoT application. It is an IoT application. How the sensor can be used to segregate bins. How the sensor can be used to segregate in bins. We have two sensors to calculate the wetness as well as dryness. You need to identify the sensor. So based on that, you have to have a two separate what do you call it as separation. You have to have a separation at the input. At the proximity, you will be sensing the waste. If the sensor sense the dryness of the waste, it will send to a particular segment, like a particular compartment. Hope I have answered your question. Okay. So next one is smart gardening. This we have an elaborate case study of about agricultural application. So let me skip this slide. So IoT applications in transportation is an useful application. I think many of you would have seen in the highway, there is a segregated place for truck parking, right? I don't know how many of you have noticed it. The purpose of truck parking is any driver who is driving the trucks, they are not supposed to drive it for more than 8 hours. If you are driving, if they drive it for more than 8 hours, it may lead to accidents. So to avoid that, the truck drivers has to park the vehicle. They have to take rest for 2 to 3 hours. Then only they have to travel. For that, in national highways, truck parking is allotted for this kind of heavy vehicle. Okay, how to monitor it? We can monitor it normally in US. Truck drivers are paid more than doctors. Okay, in US, each and every truck drivers, all the trucks are being monitored individually, and if they don't park the vehicle after 8 hours, it will be intimated to the user and the driver will be called to park the vehicle. And if they feel like there are certain sensors to check the dizziness and sleepiness of the driver. If they are about to sleep, then in an advanced technology, a jerk or a vibration will be given by the seat of the driver, and it may alarm the driver. So these are all the applications for IoT in transportation. I think there is a question. Let me answer that. Is it possible with mixed waste? All the waste are mixed waste only. Okay. No one will, in Indian scenario, still people don't have any awareness about segregation of the waste. They are supposed to segregate the waste and they have to put it in bin. But the bin in Indian scenario is in a very poor situation in some other states. But we have to segregate it properly. They will give only mixed waste, and they have a separate sensor to segregate it, and they have a separate what is that, there will be a belt like structure for moving the waste from one compartment to another compartment. Certainly it is a very big investment, not for Indian scenario actually, but we have developed it as a project, a prototype. Hope I have answered your question. Okay, you don't have any other further question? Let me move on to the next slide. And in the supply chain management, as I told you, IoT was implemented mainly for this supply chain management, mainly for logistics to track the product, logistics for the product design for warehouse and manufacturing. We call it as a ghost factory, because in the initial stage they will be giving all the inputs to the factory, and it will be run through, the entire machine will run through automation, and at the end of the day you'll be getting a product without any human intervention. For that we have to use this concept of IoT. So this is the IoT architecture broadly. We have identified few applications, for example environmental monitoring, transportation, green building, smart grid, etc. And to implement this application, we need proper sensing media, sensing and identification. Okay, and after that we have to develop a protocol. There are different protocols available. We have local area network, wide area network, personal area network, neighborhood area network, body area network. Okay, and after that the information has to be processed. Since the data is sent through a proper communication media to a processing center, depending on the severity of the application, the informations will be processed and it will be given to the particular application. So these are all the IoT architecture. I have a question, I believe. Only IR and ultrasonic sensors are there, or sonar kind of a thing also we can use for smart car. Why you went to yeah, we can use sonar also for avoiding accidents and all. We can use sonar also. We have Doppler effect based system. Okay, you can use that also. Hope I have answered your question, Vijay Raghavan. Okay, fine. So IoT technologies are, we need to identify the hardware, We need to identify the communication technology, protocols, software, and cloud platform. So these are all the processes available for implementing IoT based products. If you really wanted to implement IoT based projects, you please purchase these kind of products like Arduino is available for very very cheap cost, 250 rupees, with IO controller. We can It is available for 5 250 500 750 different ranges are available. Of course, it is China based system. And we have Raspberry, Intel Galileo, BeagleBone Black. Apart from that, if you are an academician, if you want some free training or free launchpad kit, you can check it from Texas Instruments website. They are giving free launchpad kit for the academicians. They are also giving free training. We have C2000 microcontroller, MSP controller. We got it from Texas Instruments under University Pro. You please go to the Texas website, check the university programs. You can see these kind of training modules at free of cost. So this is how you need to implement IoT based project. You have to take a processor, give a power supply, of course. Input is connected and output is given to the display unit, and one more output is given to your buzzer. A simple method. So after sensing the input, you process it in the help of a processor, and after the processed output will be given to the controller, to the given to an actuator. So this is a simple board connection representing IoT based system. So there are different sensors available, sensors and actuators available. If you see here, position, presence, proximity, motion, velocity, displacement, temperature, humidity or moisture, acoustic, sound, vibration, chemical, gas, flow, force, load, torque, strain, pressure, leak, electric, magnetic, acceleration, tilt, machine vision. These sensors are more than sufficient for running any kind of projects what I have mentioned earlier. Whether it could be an agriculture based projects or automobile based projects, these sensors will play a major role and it is enough to implement a project. So while you teach it for a student, you ask the student to interface any analog sensor and a digital sensor, so that the students will learn how to interface between analog and a processor, digital sensor and a processor, and ask them to display it in a computer first. And in the second stage, you can ask them to display the parameters measured in a mobile phone. So in that way, you can ask the students to learn how to develop an IoT based project. So all the sensors what I have shown earlier, it is available in the market at a very very cheap cost. Okay, and these are all the communication technology. I can use it for IoT applications like 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, GPS. And for engineers, they can use IEEE 802.15.4, okay, or otherwise RFID, PLC. There are many communications available. And the protocols are, these are all the standard IoT protocols used: constraint application protocol, message queue telemetry transport protocol, extensible messaging and presence protocol, low wireless personal area network protocol. You take any application, that application will fall under these protocols. So, if you see here, we have seen what are all the architectural models and what are all the components involved in IoT applications. So here you need a sensor. Sensor will be published by sensing the data, and published data is being processed, and processed data will be sent to the user. Okay. So the challenges of IoT are how to have proper connectivity. Like even now we had a connectivity issue. Even though I am connected through a wireless, I had a small connectivity issue. And how to maintain proper power of the device, because I said all these devices are wearable devices. The Fitbit what you have, you need to charge it 2 days once or 3 days once, depending on the value of the, I mean, depending on the vendor. And since all the data are being given to the network, internet, how do I secure the data? Data security is very, very important, right? Anybody can hack it. and rapid revolution, because as I'm telling you some of the processor, during my next presentation some of the processor become obsolete, new processor will come into the market. Okay, we need to know the technology of the processor because of its rapid evolution. So these are all the characteristics of IoT. Like it should have interconnectivity, heterogeneity, interoperability, ubiquitous sensing and actuation. If you take any IoT based product, it should satisfy all these characteristics. Then only I can call it as an IP enabled or IoT based product. Fine. So now the time is 3:10. So far in this 1 hour, we have discussed the IoT architecture, the protocols, what are the components involved, then how do you develop an architecture, how do you develop an application. This is what we have discussed so far. Now I am going on to various IoT applications in agriculture. Before that, I just want to know whether do you have any doubts in these basic slides. If you have any basic doubts, any difference is there between ubiquitous and pervasive computing? Of course, we have very, very narrow difference. Ubiquitous and pervasive computing, we have a very narrow difference, but there is a difference. If you have any doubts, you please put it in the chat box, or otherwise, I can move on to the next slide. The corresponding slides, I'll be discussing different case studies and some of the projects what we have developed at PAG College of Technology. Any doubts, participants? If you have any doubts, you please put it in chat box, or otherwise I'll move on to the next slide. There is a question. We will be sharing it, ma'am. Kavita ma'am, we will be sharing it. One question asked, sir, where is that? Any difference is there between? Yeah, I told you, the both are always same. Technically, both are same, but it has a narrow difference. Ubiquitous and pervasive computing are both same. Any further questions? No. So let me move on to the applications of IoT in agricultural field. A lot of activities are being done in the field of agriculture, and most of the activities are in the said field, mainly for smart cultivation, precision farming, livestock monitoring, smart greenhouses, smart fertilization, agricultural drones, and agricultural logistics. And these are all the applications, and these are all the applications I am going to discuss. Okay, crop production, water management, field monitoring, urban farming, livestock farming, agri logistics, crop yield analysis, auto spreading, as well as disease diagnosis. So these are all the applications I'm going to discuss. Totally around 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, almost 12 applications I'm going to discuss with you. Broadly, applications can be classified into four categories: monitoring activities, disease and pest control, automation and precision farming, crop management. Apart from that, it can also be useful for greenhouse production and agricultural machinery. Some of the machineries which is used in agriculture, we can use it for, we can automate it. Most of the application, if you see, they are mainly used for monitoring activities. For example, irrigation and water quality monitoring, soil monitoring, weather monitoring, and farm monitoring. How? Let us see. The first application is one of the beautiful application, Agri Prediction. It can be implemented in Indian scenario as well. What they do is like, let us say I have 1 acres of land. That 1 acre of land, I'll be implementing, deploying as many sensors as possible. Assuming that this is my crop area, I'll be having Agri Measure, a small sensor-based system, where in which it consists of a sensor and a processor, and it will sense and the process data will be sent to a Agri Measure database through a processor. Or otherwise, you have sensors everywhere, and the sensor can communicate to the processor. This processor is nothing but a gateway, right? LoRa gateway. And this processor will give the data to a database, or otherwise it can be called as a prediction engine. What that prediction engine will do, based on the developed algorithm, based on the developed model, it can predict any of the parameter. What it can predict, we'll see. And it can give useful information to the user through a mobile phone app. For example, this is the process. Collect data from sensor, organize it in time series, apply prediction algorithm to anticipate problems in crops, inform farmers about any abnormal situation. For example, it can have air temperature, soil, humidity, brightness. And after that, the sensed data can be given to the processor. Processor can give the data to a prediction engine. In the prediction engine, you can implement machine learning algorithm or a deep learning algorithm. If at all, if any diseases occurs, it can predict it and it can intimate the farmer to use the corresponding pest control. Similarly, it can also advise the farmer to use what the fertilizers, the type of fertilizers. So this is one application called as Agri Prediction. Okay, so any doubt in this application? I'm going case study wise. Okay, so Agri Prediction is the one where in which it can predict based on the data sensed by the sensor. In our role is to type of sensor to be placed and type of algorithm to be developed. And for the understanding of a user, I have to develop an app. Either it could be in regional language or an user defined language, where in which it can tell you the whereabouts of the crop. So this is called as Agri Prediction. Do you have any doubt in this? If not, we'll move on to we'll move on to the next slide. Okay, next one is FarmBeat. FarmBeat is an IoT platform for data driven agriculture. For example, here in this IoT based station, it can have sensors of different kind. For example, it can use a sensor, it can use camera, it can use drone. And these data will be sent to a processor. And in this processor, it can process based on the available data, and again it can send information to the user through an app. And this base station, everything can be powered by solar. It is an optional, nothing new in it, but it is a solar powered system. For example, here these are all the captured images of that farm bit. Water puddle, cow excreta, cow herd, one cow is going near to the electric fencing. These things can be captured and it will be given as an input to the farmer. And the farmer, based on the available data, they can take further actions. Next one is field monitoring and automation using IoT. So see here, in this field monitoring again, this is the one what we have deployed. Here field monitoring, we have not implemented any moisture sensor. We have just controlled the valve of the drip irrigation through a mobile phone. And the valve will open and close depending on the control operation of the mobile phone app. Here what we can do is like the moisture content of the soil can be measured, and that will be given as an input to the processor. Processor will process the data and it will switch on or switch off a valve. Or otherwise, in a simpler manner, we can have a timer control. I don't want any sensor based system. Morning I'll switch on, automatically it gets switched off with the help of a timer based system. I know for 25 coconut trees how many hours I need to water it. I can calculate it physically. Based on that, I put a timer and switch on and switch off. I can have on delay timer and off delay timer integrated into it, or retentive on delay timer integrated into it. Based on that, it will be switched on or switched off. Okay, so this is one simple application. And this agree monitoring, if I deploy sensors everywhere, it can do wonders. What? It can give you a reminder what is the scheduled time of reaping and when I have to spray fertilizer and pesticides and what is the corresponding irrigation time of the plant. Similarly, the plant growth is monitored continuously. For example, if you take banana, the month is required month is 9 to 10 months. After every during every month, I need to put some fertilizers or pesticides or whatever it is. So I'll be planning a organizer, a reminder. It will tell you when to put this particular fertilizer or pesticide and when I have to do irrigation. And more advanced way, I can integrate this system with an ERP, which I'm going to explain it later. So based on the input from the customer, I can grow plants. Similarly, it can also check the crop profit calculator. It will check online the current price of the particular vegetable or a particular crop, and it will tell you when to go to the market based on the current retention price. And also it will check based on the fertilizers, based on the amount you have spent it for the fertilizer, based on the current rate of the particular crop. It will guide you, it will give a alarm. It is the right time to go for irrigation, etc. So those crop profit calculator is based on a e-monitoring system. And based on the calamities, because during the July to May, June, July, it is a peak windy season, right? During that time, if you have planted bananas, it may go off because of heavy wind. So those things can be forecasted with the help of the e-monitoring system. And this is another important application, precision or livestock farming. This we have done it. Here, a collar was developed. In the collar, we have different types of sensor. And the sensor is just to check the temperature or any parameter or the location of the particular livestock. So wherever the livestock goes, it can be monitored in a mobile phone, or whenever it crosses a particular zone, or whenever there is any abnormality of the cattle, that can be intimated to a mobile phone alert. So this is livestock farming. So like each and every devices are connected to a gateway, and it will be given information to the farmer through a proper protocol. So this is the device. It has an inbuilt NIMS accelerator, a powering device, and a location device. You can just add on the number of input you want depending on the complexity. Okay, I have a question here. Thank you. Next application is smart water management platform. See, the smart water management platform is a very easy application, but it is the adjective depends on where you are going to use it. Here, it is not my work. I have taken a case study. This they have used it for a vineyard, I think. Vineyard as well as for soybean. Yeah, this is vineyard. So the entire vineyard is made with the help of precision irrigation system. It was done in Brazil, where in that particular place there is a scarcity of water. They don't want to waste the water, so they have done an IoT based system where in which drip irrigation was implemented, and this completely automated with the help of IoT based platform, where in which they'll check the moisture content of the soil, and based on the moisture content, and they will open or close a valve, and once the water reached a particular moisture content, again the sensor will sense it and it can be controlled. Okay. This is IoT based irrigation system. This is the valve I have told you. So hope you can see my pointer. This is the pointer. Okay. Hope you can see my pointer. This is an IoT based valve. Okay. So this IoT based valve will be useful for opening and closing. Here they have used it for sprinklers. I told you they have used it for drip irrigation. Here they have used it for sprinklers. Another very important one, monitoring application. As of now we are not that much advanced. The basic question only, it is lingering in my mind, how IoT can be useful for small farmers. For small farmers these kind of monitoring system won't work out, but for people who are speaking in terms of acres and hectares, they can use this kind of a monitoring system. For example, these monitoring system can be used for two things. One is for spraying fertilizers. Another one is just for monitoring applications. So what you can do is, like, you can capture the image, you can compare the image with the predetermined data, and you can tell whether the captured image or the crop is in the good condition or not. But I just want to tell you, after completion of this slide, I'll tell you the difference between drone and sensors. Drone is mobile, fine. Sensor, it is fixed point. I need to use multiple sensor, wherein which I can use only one drone. But the problem in drone technology is you can develop your own drone, no harm in it. But if you want to use it in public, you have to get the license from a proper government officer. If you don't have any license, but if you are using a drone, and if someone is complaining about that, you will be behind the bars. You would have seen many marriages, they would have used drone, but they are not supposed to use it. It is an offense. We have to get proper license for using the drone. It is almost like a vehicle. We have to get a vehicle license. Similarly, we have to get a drone license. But we can develop a drone. Only thing is, we need to know what is the payload capacity. Once you know the payload capacity, then it is very easy to develop a drone. We are developing few drones for our own applications. There is a question. Oh, feedback link sent. Okay, thank you. So this is what I have said. Early rise detection system with the help of the image taken by the drone system. Here, if you see, the drone is used for aerial monitoring, and the drone has captured the crop. This is for rice disease. Okay, the drone has captured the images of the crops, and the images was given to a prediction engine. What that prediction engine will do is, the captured image will be compared to the image what already been stored in the prediction engine. Based on that, it may inform the farmer the type of pest and the type of fertilizer to be used to control the diseases which is going to get affected for this kind of disease, for this rices. So this is one of the beautiful system. This is still in research level only. If you really wanted to do some research in this area, you can implement deep learning technique for implement these kind of projects. There is a question. Okay. Analysis of multispectral images of drone. You can see here. Here you need to implement digital image processing technique. Okay. To identify the disease, to analyze the diseases. First, you have to capture the images to be sectored, and it should be feature extracted, and it has to be compared with the database what we have, and it has to be analyzed, and we have to tell what type of diseases it is. One. Second one, we after identifying the disease, we have to suggest the type of fertilizers. Okay. So next one is again IoT based strawberry disease prediction system for smart farming. So this is again a greenhouse based system. Here the particular greenhouse was maintained at a particular ambience with the help of IoT based system. So these are all the IoT devices. Here they have used multiple sensors, like what? Carbon dioxide, temperature, humidity. You will be wondering, each and every crop's nutrient was checked, and based on the nutrient content deficiency, they have implemented fertilizers. They have supplied nutrients. So everything is controlled through an automated mode. They have around like 36 chambers, and all these 36 chambers are controlled in a single mobile phone by a single user. Smart agriculture using IoT. Here again, the water management system. These are all discussed already. Okay. Yeah. So this is a very useful project. Mm, Comparison of traditional and e-commerce delivery. If you implement IoT, it is possible to have a proper business to business communication. For example, normally to have a communication between the farmer and the customer, you need to do 13 operations like picking and transporting and finally buying by a customer and brought to home. But if you implement IoT based e-commerce delivery, you can avoid certain middleman brokers, and we can have a direct communication between the farmer and the customer. This is what really we want it in the current situation. Almost 6 operations can be cut down, and apart from minimizing the 6 operations, we can have a direct communication between the farmer and the customer. Okay, so this is e-commerce fruit delivery. This is only for one application I said. Apart from that, it can be done for many applications. From that, for implementing that, we have to have different modules like farm, vehicle, LPC, customer, server, communication. I told you very simply, I need a communication between the farmer. First I need to know where the farmer is. First the farmer should understand my way of communication. The farmer should get input. All the people, there is an app. There is an app called Ulavan app. I don't know how many of you know about this Ulavan app. And this, with the help of this Ulavan app, you can able to communicate to the farmer. The farmer can communicate to the government. The farmer can understand different schemes available in the government. But people don't have any awareness about it. And this is another important device, e-device for protecting from agricultural land from elephant attacks. This is not only for elephant attacks, for any animals for that matter. So this is one of the great. I found this on the web. This is one of the great project wherein which what it does is like we are doing this project under Department of Science and Technology. So what we have done is like for a 1 acre of land, let us say, we have deployed different sensor, and if at all if there is any animals intrusion in that particular area, that will be sensed and given intimation to a processor. Processor in turn will operate a camera and it will capture the animal. And apart from that, it will give an alarm sound so that animals can be avoided getting inside the farmland. Apart from that, once the animal is found inside, it will be given alarm to a fire what is that, fire forest range officer as well as to the farmer. So this is one of the beautiful application. Okay. Real time, yeah. The next one is water quality monitoring. The quality of the water can also be checked, and the quality of the water can, for checking the quality of the water, we have different pH based sensor. Okay, it may check the COD and BOD content of the water. So those things can be useful for many applications, for ETP plant and for agricultural applications as well. Okay, so IoT and agricultural data analysis. After collecting the data, with the data, what I have to do? I can do what? I can do it only for a monitoring application. I can predict the fault. I can inform the farmer. I can do wonders, like I can suggest the farmer to do what next. Okay. So some other applications of IoT are smart tunnel forming. Under smart tunnel forming, we have many varied applications like data analytics solution, sensing technology, position technology, etc. So this is a simple application. I can skip this. So what are the challenges and security issues? For example, in the smart farming, there are many applications. I have given as my example of livestock precision farming, right? The same IoT based applications can be implemented for smart cattle farming, smart aquaponics, smart poultry, smart beehive monitoring, smart hatcheries. Okay, the same thing, but for monitoring different parameters. For example, in the smart poultry, we can maintain the ambience, we can maintain the temperature, we can maintain the relative humidity so that it can grow well. Okay. Apart from that, IoT enabled farming is also possible. One is for spraying the fertilizer, another one is for monitoring applications. For monitoring applications, we can use unmanned aerial vehicle. For cattle and all, instead of human being, it can be done with the help of UAV vehicles. Okay, and robots can operate in autopilot mode for monitoring the cattle as well as for spraying the fertilizers. Okay. Precision agriculture actually deals with the evolution of traditional technology for miniaturization of the electronics industry. Meaning is what? If I want to measure these parameters like temperature, humidity, sunshine, wind, and water, I need to implement or deploy small sensors in the field so that I can monitor the parameter. Based on the parameter, I can do what? I can do disease and pest control, and also I can monitor the plant growth. So these are all the some of the challenges and issues in IoT. Like how do I communicate? What are the communication methodology? And what are all the how do I communicate between different vendors? Interoperability issues. And some of the technical issues are there for providing security and how do I communicate between the farms? And the challenges are categorized into two categories: IoT based issues like hardware and software issues, interoperability issues. And if you see the benefits and pitfalls of IoT enabled agriculture, benefits you can leave it. Pitfalls are lack of awareness, illiteracy, machinery cost, climate change, lack of capacity building, lack of marketing research. But now there are many startups has come into the market, and there are so many TBI technology business incubators are available, and government is giving so many funds so that almost 250 agri startup companies are there in India. I have listed about some of the companies, but there are around like 250 agri startups companies in India in national status. But these are all the factors influencing in India. Already we have discussed. So in international status, almost all the developed countries started to implement they are using it now, and they have found huge market potential for implementing IoT in agricultural field especially. And the agri market is also getting benefited. It is a win-win situation. So these are all the schemes. As I told you, I'll be discussing about some of the schemes available for proposing a work. All these schemes comes under National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture. Under that, there are so many schemes. Okay, for academic people, they can concentrate on laws to Atma and Craftsman Training Scheme. Okay, another scheme is under Department of Science and Technology. You can go for Agro-Tech scheme. So in future, what we have to do is like we have to have a strong collaboration between the government, industry, and the academia. Without knowing what is required by the user, it is not possible for the academic people to implement it. Without knowing what is required by the academic people, it is not possible for the government to fund it. So after doing so, industry should take care of this project because all the projects are only in the report side. The industry should take care of the project. They should guide us in developing a product. They should guide us in developing a startup company so that it can be benefited for the farms. Okay. So with this, I would like to conclude my session. If you have any doubt, you please post your question. I am ready to answer. Before that, I would like to share some of my books. I'll just quickly run through it. Okay, if you have any doubts, you please. So if you have any doubts, you please post your questions in the chat box, or you can also email me or WhatsApp me in this number.
Dear participants, if you have any we will unmute you. You can directly discuss with our resource person. Sir, there is no question from participants side, sir. I think they already discussed it during the session.
Okay, thank you.
Let me conclude the session, sir.
Yeah, please.
Tell me and I forgot. Teach me and I may remember. Involve me and our today's resource person, Dr. L. Ashok Kumar, Professor, Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, PSG College of Technology, Coimbatore, for providing a wonderful session on the topic of implementation of IoT in agriculture. For providing a wonderful session. Dear participants, the day one session to attendance and feedback link is posted in chat box. Kindly fill it soon. Participants, the day one session to attend and feedback link is posted in chat box. Kindly fill it soon. It will be open up to 45 minutes only. And all the participants are requested to join the tomorrow session at 10 a.m. Thank you. Dear professors, those who are not complete the feedback form, kindly fill it soon. It will be open up to 30 minutes only. Thank you.